everyone. So in this video, I'm going to be just researching Prince Harry, Meghan Markle's parents' network. And, since they changed the name of their Archwell Foundation to Archwell Philanthropies, now they also did some changes here with this to say that Meghan and Harry's parents' network is now part of a nonprofit called Parents Together. A lot of shifting of these names and organizations going on, which knowing these two is something that needs to be looked into. But first, I wanted to look into this lost screens. They love these tombstones that Meghan travels around the world with. And look at each one. So here's Daniel Adams, who it says here was born in September 2005 and died September 2021 in the middle of lockdowns. So I would, of course, blame lockdowns for this. But then I do a search on Daniel Adams in 2021 for an obituary. And it looks like I cannot find any Danielle Adams that died in September 2021. They have all these other Daniels, but none of them are in the age range. The closest one is a 24-year-old Daniel Adams who died in January 2021 at 24 years old, which would not match. The rest are 50s, 60s, 70s. So this one I'm questioning. I don't find an obituary for Daniel Adams. Next up, we have Coco Konar, who died, it says here, on March 10th, 2022. I did find a reference to Coco Konar's death, and it was from a fentanyl overdose in March of 2022 that they blamed on the lockdowns again, the pandemic, intensifying the opioid crisis. So again, nothing about social media except that she died of fentanyl poisoning. I guess they're making the connection that she contacted her dealer through cell phone or social media, Instagram, I believe, as if that were the cause of it. According to this NBC News report, it said, quote, they classified her as a drug addict chronic user. Yeah, according to detectives. So not like she just suddenly found fentanyl on an Instagram post and, went and got killed. This was somebody who's chronically doing this. Next up, we have Riley Basford. It says he died March 2021, again in the middle of lockdowns. So Riley Basford was blackmailed over personal photos over social media. So this was criminal activity online that led to his death. But again, not something that online ID is going to fix. You're always going to have criminals, although some would argue that this would be a case where if he was not online, this wouldn't have happened. But of course, the parents would be or should be in control of that. Actually, I say this person, he sent the pictures to this person directly, and that person tried to extort him, saying that he would post it to the pictures to social media if he didn't pay him, $3,000, and that's what led to him committing suicide. So it didn't happen on social media; it was direct connection, but it was a threat of posting it on social media. But again, this was in March 2021 in the middle of the pandemic and the lockdowns. And he was 15 years old. All of these teenagers, they're 15, 17. They're all older. They're not like children, young children. They're teenagers, young adults. So just pointing that out because they keep calling it children's childhood, children's safety. But really, these are young adults we're talking about as well. So again, we have another case here, Archie Battersby. And it said Archie joined social media during the lockdown, and he couldn't play sports, and his boredom turned to TikTok. So again, we're going to TikTok being a real problem for a lot of young people over the years with their challenges and whatnot. And of course, the lockdowns cause it to inflame. So with this 12-year-old, he was found suffocated after doing a TikTok challenge, a prank or experiment that went wrong. So really, with all of these deaths, the real culprit, I would argue, are the lockdowns that led to all of these young people spending so much time on the internet and being exposed to predators and TikTok challenges and resulting in their deaths. This young woman is not a child. She was an adult, 21 years old, and she was at college when she was found dead, or she was 20 years old, about to turn 21, and she was a junior at the University of Louisville in double majors in criminal justice and psychology. So apparently she bought some drugs, and that caused her death. So they're blaming the Snapchat for her death of their adult child here. So again, I think this is a stretch because again, this person is a legal adult and was a junior in college, double major, and she got some bad drugs. I mean, really the problem here, the drug problem, the fentanyl problem coming over the borders, and it also combined with lockdown situations, really much more, but they want to blame the Snapchat. The next one is a 15-year-old who did a TikTok challenge, the same as the one before earlier, where they're choking themselves and he accidentally died. But, teenagers are known to do things. They think they're invincible and make a lot of stupid decisions because their brains are not fully formed that can lead to their deaths as well. And again, these aren't like little children. These are teenagers and young adults here. Next is another 17-year-old who died during the lockdowns on the Snapchat. Carson Bride. Okay, Carson Bride, again, 16, committed suicide during the lockdowns again. So there are really strong arguments made here with 99% of these names. They all perished during lockdowns. 16-year-old Nate Bronstein, bullied at school through Snapchat, committed suicide. And again, the Childhood Safety Act isn't going to stop suicides, right? Or drug overdoses. And that's why, even though there's very sad stories, you still have to look at them to analyze here what's really going on. You've got all these deaths. Like I said, 99% of them, they have a year or two before the lockdowns. But most of them are a direct result of the lockdowns and stuck inside and having to communicate with friends via social media, leading to these deaths that could have occurred otherwise, whether they had it or not. I mean, bullying is nothing new. I know it's amplified with social media, but still, parents could control that as well. But again, these are young adults too that are, and teenagers are, have these more prone to suicides and drug overdoses and whatnot. And another senior in high school who was bullied via social media. And I find all this ironic with Harry and Meghan and their Sussex squad harassing and bullying adults online. And they turn around and showcase the same thing that Harry and Meghan do, Sussex squad here, and showcasing it, pretending like they're helping with that when they're absolute perpetrators of the same thing. So who do you really blame at the end of the day? Well, of course, they're trying to blame everything on algorithms and social media platforms. All to get that digital ID for everyone, all adults, to give to lead to that UN Agenda 2030 online, everybody having one ID and everyone being on CBDCs, or the Chinese Communist Party system. Another 16-year-old died of a fentanyl overdose. Now, they're blaming Snapchat because the drug dealers use Snapchat, social media. However, even if drug dealers have been around long before social media. So again, does it really solve the problem if you do this? I mean, drug dealers are going to find a way. Now, this one's suspicious to me. It shows a picture of a very small child, but in fact, the dates 1997 to 2015 means this was an 18-year-old legal adult aged young man. But they're showing a picture of like an 8-year-old here or younger. And again, they say here he was hooked on social media. He only got 3 or 4 hours of sleep at night for the last 3 months before he took his own life. So, I mean, again, he was an adult. So at first, when I saw the picture of this very young child, I thought, what are the parents doing letting this child only get 3 or 4 hours of sleep a night? Obviously, take the phone away, right? But when you look at the dates, 1997, 2015, you realize this was an adult, a legal adult, 18. They couldn't tell him what to do, really. So, again, who to really blame here, and is this really a case to use for Child Safety Act when you're talking a young adult here, 18? And the fact that they deceivingly put a picture of a young child in the tombstone that they use is manipulative and a lie and a deceit, in my opinion, as far as this pushing this political act and manipulating our court system with this, in my opinion. Here we have another 15-year-old where they write, excuse me, they write that he was playing the TikTok game, pass out game, with his friends, or from Instagram, this one. So again, another reckless teenager. Now, would taking away social media take away the propensity for a 15-year-old to be doing dares like this? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I recall people like Meghan Markle doing the ice bucket challenge. That was another stupid one that went around that a lot of adults did. Yeah, these stupid challenges can be, people want to get attention, obviously, with these challenges. But not everybody, is going to fall for that. However, teenagers are risk takers anyways and always daring each other. I think a movement to stop these kinds of stupid challenges would be in order to do that. Now, another thing, this 16-year-old he was catfished from an account that was originated from West Africa, pretending to be a young girl, and tricked him into posting compromising pictures, and they call it sextortion, demanding money. So now there are a lot of older adults who, of all ages, even into elderly ages, falling for this catfishing of, you see a beautiful woman and she online and you start talking and they fall in love, and it turns out it's not really a beautiful woman, right? It's catfishing. It's actually some guy in Africa posing as a beautiful woman that they stole the picture off social media. So again, I don't think that a Childhood Safety Act is going to solve that problem. People of all ages have fallen for that scam, and you cannot, the United States judicial system does not have the ability to prosecute outside of the country. So a lot of adults fall for this. So again, a Childhood Safety Act is not going to prevent this type of situation from occurring again. Happens all the time. And again, lockdown time here, 2023, getting out of lockdown there. Obviously, I've been spending a lot of time online because of lockdown. I think these obituaries are more of an argument against lockdowns than anything else, because again, teenagers, 16 years old, are going to overreact to these situations. And here we have another 16-year-old who, again, lockdown time. It was 2022, the ending of lockdown, but still the ramifications of it very strong. And according to this, he turned to TikTok looking for positive affirmations, and instead was filled with content promoting and glamorizing suicide. Well, I don't, unless you're looking for it, I don't see how that's, I don't recall that ever being platformed. But I would also point out that with maids in Canada and also in other countries, they have been pushing assisted suicide. It has been, and maybe that is the reason why many people are talking about it. That maids was coming out then 2022, especially, and still to this day, pushing suicide, maids and other assisted dying programs have very Nazi-ish programs. As David Hughes pointed out, this whole COVID operation was very Nazi in the way it went down. But it's no wonder that this does have an influence on everyone, and especially young people. But again, 16 years old, more of a young adult than a child. But as it says here, it wasn't just TikTok videos. It was because he had broken up with his girlfriend following a breakup. Yeah, so, teenagers, they break up with their boyfriends, girlfriends. It's their first time. It's a very traumatic time. But really, can you blame TikTok? Is he, I would say it's not the first time a teenager may have overreacted to a breakup like this and ended up committing suicide. Is that really TikTok's fault at the end of the day? And the real impetus was not seeing a video on TikTok, but because his girlfriend broke up with him. Yeah, because they wrote it on this page: after a bad breakup, he turned to TikTok. Bad breakup, right? Not that any breakup is good, but I mean, adults commit suicide after a bad breakup or a horrible divorce and whatnot. So is Childhood Safety Act really going to cure that problem? I don't think so. So another fentanyl death during lockdown, August 2020. 14 years old. A 21-year-old here died during lockdown. Again, not a child, but an adult. And this one, you could even blame the medical establishment because it says that he was in college, he became depressed, and he was prescribed medication by a doctor and ultimately became addicted to it. So that is a common story here from people, adults and young people. And this with the combined with the lockdowns, it was 2020 when he passed away. You've got these medications, the psychiatric medications, SSRIs, which I'm sure you've heard are very dangerous, regardless of your age. But again, this is a 21-year-old, so why is he being used for Child Safety Act? Another girl, lockdown period, died August 2021. Obviously, because of lockdowns, became addicted to social media. Again, 17 years old, a young adult. Here we have a 19-year-old, a legal adult, Tanner Jensen, who they claim got addicted to social media. And he had depression. He suffered from depression and took part in unsafe behavior. But again, a legal adult here. I did a search on this Tanner A. Jensen and death in 2022, and my search did not find anything. No record of a person named Tanner A. Jensen dying in 2022. They found an offense, an arrest of someone else's name with that name. No, so it said that there's legacy.com lists 3 obituaries with Tanner Jensen, but not in 2022. This is Tanner A. Jensen, so I am not finding this person, this 19-year-old man, obituary. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I don't find anything. So apparently he suffered from depression, though. So, of course, lockdowns as well, I would say, is a factor in that one as well. And again, another lockdown type death here in March 2022. He's turning 14 that year. And he was addicted to social media as a result of lockdowns. So a 14-year-old dying from a TikTok challenge. And the parents even say here that children, they strongly advocate parents to hold off giving their children a smartphone. So parents could very well be the solution here, more so than a political, act affecting all adults. Okay, so here is the second instance of a young child's photo being used when in fact this young man was a legal adult. He was 19 years old and died during the lockdowns of September 2021. August to September, the fall of 2021 was particularly evil with the PR and the Biden, etc., threatening everybody to take the vaccines and whatnot, and of course the lockdowns. But again, Harry and Meghan, for the second time, are using a young child's picture for a legal adult. This is very manipulative, and I don't trust these people. And I'm not finding a couple of obituaries. Maybe they're out there, maybe they're not. But my search did not turn up anything. But this is a 19-year-old man here that they're posing as a small child. And it even says in the first sentence of this is Christopher was just starting out his life as an adult. They're admitting it. He's an adult, right? And they're pushing this for Child Safety Act with a child's picture. So deceptive. And he died of a fentanyl overdose. So again, the fentanyl again. And they're blaming, social media for this. When, again, drug dealers are not going to disappear, and fentanyl is not going to disappear with social media, even if they're not on social media, right? It's more of an argument of closing the borders to not let the fentanyl flow in like it was during this time. We had so many people die because no one was stopping the flow. The border was wide open and all kinds of fentanyl came in. So again, 19-year-old man died of fentanyl that he no doubt looked for himself. Next one is again another legal adult, 18-year-old girl. And again, fentanyl death, April 2021, in the midst of lockdowns. And I was able to find information. 18-year-old in Washington died of a fentanyl overdose, April 2021. She had believed what was Percocet from a dealer via Instagram, and instead it contained fentanyl. So it really this makes a case for lockdowns and fentanyl being the main culprits here. And social media was just the avenue, but again, drug dealers have been around long before social media and just continue. So I don't think that will solve the problem if they do another lockdown and more fentanyl over the border. I'm sure they find other ways. So now here's a 13-year-old and who was blackmailed, catfished, and sextortion, trying to get money for pictures that he had given. But again, a 13-year-old, you could say, why weren't the parents monitoring that situation online? And again, the idea of the sextortion is not limited to teenagers. I mean, even if he waits till 18, 19, adulthood, they have 18, 19, and 21-year-olds on this child list here. But it doesn't take away the danger completely, because that's people of all ages fall for this kind of thing. It's not simply teenagers. So here we have another 19-year-old legal adult. Died during lockdowns, September 2021. This appears to be another fentanyl death. He bought drugs online. And yeah, it was fentanyl. The autopsy revealed fentanyl. He thought he was getting a Xanax and he got fentanyl. So 19-year-old buying drugs and ended his life. Now, that's not an uncommon story. Before social media, this type of thing happened and will no doubt continue happening. And again, this was a 19-year-old legal adult. And of course, this goes back to open borders, fentanyl flowing over, and lockdowns. So here's another case. This is before lockdown, but they're using a picture of the girl when she was 13, when she was actually 16 when she passed. So again, using a younger picture. And she had a horrible incident with drugs and cyber abuse and committed suicide in 2012. Again, suicide's been around since before social media, and the abuse that happened to her was not online. It was mainly in person with drugs involved. And the description of what some of these people went through, the cyber abuse, subjected to hate-filled, death-wishing attacks on Twitter. Well, that's exactly what Harry and Meghan's Sussex Squad do, and all the UN, Team Halo, and Dinesh, and the Nurse Mafia. That's exactly where they were. I wouldn't doubt it was them involved in this abuse. Has anyone looked into that? I mean, maybe not the Sussex Squad necessarily, but who knows? I think Prince Harry may be involved with all of them. So for all we know, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are connected to some of these deaths directly. Okay, here we have an 18-year-old, another legal adult. And he was found unconscious on his 18th birthday. And there was a blue pill, purchased some Snapchat, fentanyl. Another fentanyl death, again, May 2021, in the midst of the lockdowns. And he bought drugs. He bought the fentanyl that came over the open borders and died. 18 years old. And again, I don't think Child Safety Act is going to stop drug dealers and drugs. And the open borders had a lot to do with that. Okay, another 18-year-old, a legal adult, 2022, amidst the lockdowns. So according to this, he became consumed with social media. But he's a legal adult, right? So the adults that I tried to instill a limit on it. But, he's a legal adult. So how much can she really do? But of course, if she's paying for the phone, the mother could have stopped it. I'm not blaming the parent. I'm just saying that this is a legal adult, and you're using this for Childhood Safety Act. And she saw his social media afterwards, and she found it shocking what was being said here. She doesn't say exactly what led to his death here. But upon a search, it says here he died of a fentanyl overdose. So lockdowns, it was December 2022, lockdowns and open borders with the fentanyl flowing over for this 18-year-old's death. Now, Harry and Meghan are overwhelming us. That's just a third of the people they have listed here. So again, I found two examples. They're using a young child's picture, and it was actually a legal adult. And a lot of these are lockdowns and fentanyls. It looks like the main culprits. But you can see they're overwhelming us with all of these stories. And this video would have to be a lot longer to go through them all, which I could do if there's an interest. But I'm already highly suspicious of a lot of these stories and what really is to blame. And I don't feel a Childhood Safety Act is going to change any of what would have prevented any of these deaths, really. So I don't know. What do you think? Do you want to hear the rest of them? Should we go through? I think that the more we comb through it, the more we look into it. A couple of them I could not find any information. So there's, this is highly suspicious to me, this whole Parents Network program that they're Harry and Meghan. Everything that Harry and Meghan do is suspicious. But this, again, to use the deaths of young people to shield themselves, like they do with Invictus, to shield themselves from being scrutinized, is typical of Harry and Meghan and the activities they do, as well as vulturing over, dead children like at Uvalde and other places. So there you have it. That is my coverage. Hope you found this interesting. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.